Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Brickey here. Today's adventure, let's break down some more Disneyland poetry. Yesterday, Walt Disney Corporation CEO Bob Chapek gave another, I want to call it a poem, because we've seen Kenny P. Rocks, who is our local Disneyland Parks president, spit some poetry over the last couple of months. And I have to say, I've gotten pretty good at taking Kenny P. Rocks' poems and breaking them down and figuring out what is it that the artist Kenny P. Rocks is really trying to tell us. And yes, I say poems because I think it's funnier and more pretentious. But yesterday's poem came from Bob Chapek, who is the numero uno for the Walt Disney Corporation. Bob Iger will be stepping down later on this year, but Chapek, he is the man that's steering the ship. So what he says, you would think would be the most informed opinion that you would get on Disneyland reopening. But what is interesting to me about his statement yesterday, and what we will break down in this video, is what he said and also what he didn't say. And if you make it to the end, I'll break down how Disney fans really need to get better at reading all of the fine print instead of just leaping off of an emotional cliff of, this is what I want, and then it halfway says that, and so I'm going to believe it, because I don't want to see you get your heart broke. But let's jump in. So I'm sure by now you've probably read this statement that Bob Chapek gave out yesterday. But let's do the Brickey Breakdown. Let's do what I have to do to look at this much data and understand what is it that he's really trying to say. Because when you're a CEO of a major company, you're limited in what you can say because of liability, because of creating false expectations, but there's always something as a human that you want to say. So I love reading this poetry and figuring out, what is the citizen Bob Chapek trying to tell us, but how is it limited through the corporation? The statement starts out by saying, here in California, we're encouraged by the positive trends we're seeing and hopeful they'll continue to improve, and we'll be able to reopen our parks to guests with limited capacity by late April. So if we break that down, what I read, just taking it bit by bit, chunk by chunk, here in California, we're encouraged by positive trends that we're seeing. Now let's really think about what this opening line says, because they're trying to tell us something. We're encouraged. What we're seeing right now looks good. Encouragement is the action of giving someone support, confidence, or hope, and it's a persuasion to continue to do something. So by Bob Chapek saying that they're encouraged, they're trying to tell everybody, like, hey, stay the course, keep doing what you're doing, because if you can do this, this will help out Disney. This will help out all of us. This will help out California. And we're hopeful they'll continue to improve. What they're saying is we like what we see. And we're very hopeful that these trends will continue to improve. Now, why are they hopeful about the trends improving? Because as we talked about in Monday's video, they need the park to reach certain tiers to get a certain amount of freedoms, whether that be more capacity, indoor dining, indoor attractions. Like, they are hopeful that what is happening can continue to get better. We're hopeful. We're hoping that what we're seeing can continue, that it can grow, that it's contagious. No, contagious is it's a bad term right now. But in them saying hopeful, to me, that displays positivity. And here's an important factor to keep in mind. This is a CEO during a meeting with shareholders. When you're the CEO and you talk to shareholders, you are trying to shape the most positive outcome for your company. You're trying to project nothing but success. And a lot of times when CEOs talk to their shareholders, they give them a very optimistic outlook of what's to come. For example, Elon Musk and Tesla, when he showed the Model Y, he said, we're going to make a model that has 3 rows of seating. I have that car, and I could not even imagine a 3rd row of seating being put in there. But he said this, they were projecting it. To be able to do 3 rows of seating at that price for a fully electronic vehicle would be an amazing deal, and that's what he wanted to convey. But slowly that went away and it didn't happen. That's not unusual for shareholder meetings, for a CEO to project the biggest, brightest outcome and say, this is what we're trying for. This is what we're striving for. This is where we hope to get. And people will buy onto that positivity and believe in it and know that if 90% of that happens, we're in a good spot with our investment. He goes on to say, and we'll be able to reopen our parks. He didn't say we are reopening our parks. We will be able to. So if we keep seeing what we're seeing, things get better, and we can remain hopeful that it does, then we will be able to reopen our parks. Big difference in saying we are than we'll be able to. And then the thing that everybody really gravitated towards, by late April. Didn't give a date, he wasn't specific, and everything that led up to this prediction by late April was all based on the realm of positivity. If things go this way, then we can see this being a realistic outlook, a realistic opportunity. Break down that opening segment that so many people read, publications read, and the headline that everybody grabbed onto, Disneyland is opening the end of April. But it doesn't say that. It doesn't, in crystal clear English, say Disneyland will reopen by the end of April. When I read all of that and I break down what it is that he's trying to say to his shareholders, he's projecting that if things go really, really well, this is something that is possible. So if we take those key terms, this is what he said. We're encouraged, we're hopeful, we'll be able by late April. It actually is a poem. It actually is a poem. We're encouraged, we're hopeful, we'll be able by late April. That, to me, it's very encouraging. It makes me so happy as a Disney superfan. And I want to break down, I want the park to reopen. I want to be in there just as bad as you do. But I also started doing these news videos. By the way, this is episode 15 now, because I felt like too many people were skimming over the notes, skimming over the news, and projecting something that I would read the exact same press release. I'm like, it didn't say that. And now people think that the park's going to reopen in early September. Now they think it's going to open in October. Now they think Disneyland will open on March 14th for shopping and dining to celebrate 1 year of being closed. Then it was April 1st, the park's going to reopen. And now it's the end of April. I created this series to try to have a voice of reason, to take a deep breath, break it all down. And obviously, I know that I sometimes sort of anticipate maybe the worst, but I'm always, trust me, hoping for the best. Chapek would go on to say in his poem, we look forward to publicizing an opening date in the coming weeks. Now, we look forward, once again, there's positivity, to publicizing an opening date in the coming weeks. We look forward to that, meaning that if all of this plays through, the encouragement, the hopefulness, the ableness, then we look forward to being able to say, hey, this is the date. And the reason why he hasn't said the date now is because he doesn't know what it is. Nobody does. There are so many moving targets as far as state guidelines, getting a massive amount of employees retrained, recertified. I broke all that down in great detail on Monday. I won't do it again 2 days later, but there is a lot going on. So speaking to his shareholders, Chapek wanted to say, hey, I'm feeling positive. If things can keep going this way, I'm going to tell you right now, end of April isn't impossible. But he also didn't say end of April is definite. And this is where I enjoy making these videos. It's not always the most popular opinion, but I have seen that many of you are like me, especially after last summer's false announcement of July 17th. I believe many of us right now are thinking, when I have a ticket in my hand and I'm standing in the Esplanade waiting to get scanned in, then and only then will I believe it. But people are so impatient. There's this social media fed craze of likes and views and subs and being the first to know and the guy who predicted it first. And I do say guy because it's mostly men. This is a very male ego type of thing to do, that everybody wants to be the one that says, aha, I got the scoop. I said it first. And my take is I might be the last guy sometimes to do these news videos because I want to read everything. I want to let it stew inside my brain and understand what are they really trying to say. Whereas the citizen away from the corporation and what they're trying to say. So today, one day after Bob Chapek's statement of projecting positivity for a potential end of April opening of the park, this image starts circulating, saying that the reopening of 2021 will be April 29th, which Bob didn't say. Hotels opening May 7th. That's the first I've heard of that. But this image started circulating. A lot of people believe that it is just really a retyped out or Photoshop edited version of the July 17th announcement that we got last June. But the interesting thing is people, not too many, but some people started to repost this. But you know who didn't repost this? Are the news outlets that are responsible for their actions. You see, social media, and I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, it's frontier land, right? It's the shooting gallery. And you can basically say anything you want to on a YouTube channel or an Instagram account. But when you hear headlines and when you hear something, it is your responsibility, even when you're watching a video like mine, you need to make sure that you go over to a verified news organization that has real money laying on the line, because if they say things that are too far out of the stretch, they will feel a penalty by law, by financial obligations, by lawsuit. Traditional media outlets and the more professional blogs, they understand that there is a responsibility and a liability, and they will try to give you the news as honest as possible. And that's what I strive for as well. So when you see an image like this, the first thing you have to do is say, where did Disney say this? Which media outlet of Disney's did they say this at? Like, where did this news come from? Really read the news source and try to go through in your mind, does this sound right? Is this worded properly? Is this the projection that I know from Disneyland? Because this knockoff proposes plans for phased reopening. Why would Disneyland, a massive corporation that has the highest of demand for people to get back into the park, why would they circulate a graphic for a proposed plan for a phased reopening and give you a date? Once they say a date, they're going to be ready to sell tickets. Once they're ready to sell tickets, they are ready to make good on that promise. They're not going to give us a date until they know exactly when everything is signed, sealed, and delivered with extreme confidence that they can do it. Saying good things are to come to your shareholders, that's one thing. Promising something to your customers, to the general public, that's a whole other level of communication. And you also have to play out the reality of what you're reading. Don't you think that if Bob Chapek really knew in his heart that April 29th was the opening day, why would he wait a day after talking to his shareholders? If yesterday he could have went into the boardroom with extreme confidence and said, this is the date that we will be selling tickets, Disney stock prices would have went up. It would have worked so in his favor if he could have said that with complete confidence. So why on earth would he hold on to that? I'll put it out tomorrow. I'll put it out tomorrow. Not today. I've already given the shareholders enough. I'll give it out tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. And if you stop and think about it, you go, oh, yeah, right. Well, this can't be real. And let's say that this is a Disney graphic that got out early. If they're not posting it, they're not standing by this information. This could be a graphic that was meant to go out when they knew the coast was clear and they could say this with extreme confidence. So sometimes if you get a little bit too eager and you don't do your research and you just start spreading things that are inaccurate, you might get into this situation where then you have to put up a apology. Instagram account House of the Mouse posted this over on their stories earlier today. It was deleted after somebody told me that it was there, and I was like, oh, that post got taken down, and then the apology circulated around, which I'm going to guess that probably somebody somewhere said, where did you get that from? That is not accurate. Can you please go back and just do a disclaimer that, hey, I posted something that I shouldn't have posted. I fell for it, and that is not accurate news. And on Monday, I put out a video saying, flat out that Disneyland would not open in April 2021. The reason why I said that is because I did some off the record talking to people that work for the park. I spoke to a lot of fans. I looked inside of my own realization of what it takes to reopen Disneyland, and I just said any date in April just seems too optimistic. But the real goal here was to say April 1st definitely isn't happening, and April just seems like insane for it to happen that fast. Now, mind you, I have no pride in being right. In fact, these are always videos where I'm trying to speculate the most positive outcome on everything that's happening. This is something that you could set your emotions for. Like, this feels emotionally like a safe thing. I'm not Mr. Clickbait trying to tell you that it's going to happen way faster than it is. And so when these people that have never really commented on any of my videos roll through with this extreme pride doing this, so you were wrong. This didn't age well. Insert foot and mouth. So, I mean, whatever. It's all in good fun, right? And I understand people love to try to put someone down or say, hey, Mr. Know-It-All, you don't know it all. But this last comment here on the bottom, well, they're opening in late April. So, but are they? Are they opening in late April? I hope that they do. There's nothing in the world that I would love to be more wrong about. But if we're honest and we look through this information that Bob Chapek rolled out, he never does say definitively that they will be open end of April. Fingers crossed it happens. But there's still a lot of people that think that is a projection of positivity, not exactly reality. And I want to point out that I don't need everybody that watches these videos to agree with me. It did feel good on Monday that a majority of the viewers said, I was waiting for your video. I feel like this is a reasonable breakdown. Some people told me that they thought it would be even later, that my projection of May was too soon. And I don't need everybody to agree with me because K Woo here said, look, here's my reason why I think that you're wrong. This is what I'm hoping for. And then he said, care to wager a beer? Well, I'm not a drinker, never have been, but I wagered a Dole Whip. So if Disneyland does open a minute before May 1st, K-Woo, I'm buying you that Dole Whip, buddy, and I cannot wait to see you drink it. It will be glorious to be in the park with you, to see you pull off your mask, and to see you drink that delicious Dole Whip. And I'm not going to buy one for myself because I deserve to be thirsty while I watch you enjoy it. Because none of this, to me, is about being right. To me, this is all about being positive. Looking at the news, figuring out the most reasonable way to look at all of this, to sort of lower expectations, to take a deep breath and just slow down. And it's also about projecting optimism that is matched and companion with realism. I don't want to just be optimistic for the sake of being optimistic. I want to be optimistic for the sake of being realistic. Realistic to you, fans just like me. I know we all want this. I know we all want this really, really bad. But willing it and forcing it and spreading false rumors about it isn't going to make it happen any sooner. And friends, if my prediction is wrong, I'll always tell you. I know that I'm just a super fan, does a lot of homework, that is trying their best to project to you what I feel are realistic goals, realistic expectations. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if there was ever anything to be wrong about, wouldn't Disneyland reopening later than you predicted be a perfect thing to be wrong about? So friends, until I can see you the next time inside of Disneyland, whether that's in May or in April, with me buying K-Woo that delicious Dole Whip and not buying one for my own because I want to be thirsty, I'll see you back here on the channel with more Disneyland news. And to everybody that said they were waiting for my video on Monday, and for people that said that they were waiting for somebody to reasonably break it down, I sincerely appreciate that. I really do, because that was what my goal was in starting this series and blowing the dust off my YouTube channel. And to all the people that just randomly popped in because they saw the thumbnail and wanted to tell me something, so we'll see. We'll see when that park reopens. But as of right now, recording this video at 4 o'clock Disneyland time on March 10th, there is nothing that says definitively that the park will reopen in April. Let's hope that it does. But when people tell you it's open at the end of April, that is not exactly the truth. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a comment below. When do you think it's going to open? What is your vibe on how all of this is going to shake out? And if you enjoy my content, why not subscribe to the channel? And when you subscribe, ring the bell, because I do live streams every single time I go out to the Disneyland Resort. I'll be out there this Sunday celebrating the end of Free DCA, which has been an unbelievable history in Disneyland that we have written together. And then when Touch of Disney starts, I'll be live streaming each and every Thursday, all 5 weeks from that festival. And when the park reopens, you know I'm going to get in there regardless of what the date is. I'm going to be so excited, whether it's April 29th or July 29th. I'm going to get back in there, and I want to take as many of you with me as possible. And if you want to support the content, consider becoming a member over at club1313.com. That is a club full of great people that support my content, and we would love to have you as a member. So till the next time I see you inside of a Disneyland,